You're listening to Reckless Creatives, a Pipeline Artists original podcast, where Sadie Dean and Jeanne Bowerman share the candid truth about the challenges and benefits of living life as artists.
Hello, Reckless Creatives. Yes, it's me, Sadie, once again going solo, but don't fret. Jeanne will be back. We've got some fun conversations cooking up, so be sure to stay plugged in right here. On this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with two phenomenal indie filmmakers, Houde and Dakota Daulby. I've had the opportunity to speak with these two fine gents not too long ago for Script Magazine about their very fantastic short film titled Keel Haul that Harrison produced alongside his creative brother-in-arms Dakota, who also co-wrote and co-starred under their film production banner, Vesperia Films. These guys you need to have on your radar. They're by far the hardest working indie filmmakers that I'm currently aware of carving their own path. This is not an over-exaggeration when I say that they currently have over 15 projects in development, ranging from features to short films, and a lot of those are already in production, in post. They're making things happen. And short films are where they've been cutting their teeth as filmmakers. While both have a very steady and successful background as actors, they do not shy away from learning and taking on new jobs as filmmakers, which has taken them to this very moment. Their feature film debut, Tight Lettuce, recently had its world premiere at Fantasia Film Festival in Montreal, where they won the Audience Award for Best Quebec Feature. And here's a quick synopsis on the film. A son films his father's addiction, hoping to document his recovery, but as he sacrifices everything to save him, he must decide how much he'll lose for someone who may not want saving. Now, this story is based on a true story. It's based off of Harrison's childhood friend and his relationship with his own father. And it's monumental, it's touching, it's infuriating, it's hilarious, and devastating at the same time. In this conversation that follows, we discuss Harrison Dakota's creative process from directing. This, by the way, is Harrison's feature directorial debut, to crafting Dakota's character, Joel, and carrying that responsibility. And Dakota does some damn fine work as an actor in this film, to their endless rewrites and editing, and asking the question, whose story are you telling? They share their honest opinion on shooting car scenes, and they also offer up some key learning points from this recent creative endeavor that they'll carry with them onto their next project. I, for one, left this conversation incredibly inspired, and I hope you do too. Enjoy. How are you guys doing? It's so good to see both.
It's been a whirlwind, Sadie.
Yeah, I bet. Both still back in Canada, or are you back in LA?
No, I'm back in Vancouver. I just got back yesterday, and
I'm in New York until the 20th-ish.
Okay. Wow. Well, guys, congrats on winning that award. Not surprised. I mean, it's been so good. I'd love to talk about writing this and that connection with your friends and getting the okay to take this on the journey that you took it on. And I'll start with you, Harrison. I believe it was your friend, or is it a mutual friend, or just how did this all?
Now we're all friends, but it was originally my friend from middle school, Raiden, who approached me with this movie idea, and so we didn't really need to get the okay because he approached us saying, "I want to make this a movie, and I want you guys to do it, and I trust you guys." And we spent a lot of time on Zoom calls every week with Raiden, like Dakota and I, developing the story with him. And when I say developing, it was mostly just like listening to his stories and going through archive videos that he had, or like footage that he had of him and his dad, and letters and stuff, and asking him questions about it, and just kind of diving deep, which kind of became like free therapy, I think, for Raiden in a way. Yeah, it was kind of a surreal experience, and we got really deep with it because we talked every week for over a year, I want to say. Yeah, we shared laughs and we cried, and mostly laughs though, which is like quite interesting when you think about the topic of addiction and using fentanyl. It's like very heavy, really messed up stuff, and some of the stories are hard to hear, but overall there's like a lot of love, and it's very powerful. That's what drew us to the story, I think. And what we tried to put in the film.
I think that's the shocking part about Tight Lettuce is people maybe when you think of like a heroin addiction movie, you think of like doom and gloom and like it's only ever going to be that. And certainly that exists in Raiden's relationship with his father. But like Harrison said, there's a lot of fun and a lot of silliness and a lot of laughs that also exist in the movie and also in real life. It took us by surprise, and it's like kind of maybe expanded our idea of what a relationship could look like with somebody with addiction. And it was exciting and like made the story unique in a sense. And I think Harrison's background in comedy and like my interest in like the dramatic stuff, it gave us a really cool thing that we could both lend ourselves to as writers and as creatives. We both like found our voice within the story. It made it a beautiful story to tell because it's about a son who has this never-ending love for his father despite this like terrible, terrible addiction, which is kind of beautiful.
Yeah, there is a beautiful balance there with the comedic elements and the dramatic elements. And I think that really brings out the empathy out of their relationship, and you have more profound empathy for someone in Bodo's situation when you're like, you would probably walk past this guy and not even give him a second chance. And, Joel is giving everything of himself to
Totally
help his father. And it's so sweet. And you hope for the best for both of them, but you also want Joel to let go and move on. And, there's, I don't want to do away any spoilers, but just how you guys escalate that even for Joel's character of like, just the idea of like tight lettuce and where that comes from and the hair and all of it. And just that connection. It's so wonderful. And for you, Dakota, I'm so curious how you were able to carry all that, because there is this profound heaviness of like quiet anger this character is carrying. And I'm so curious how you were able to personally carry that like day to day, and then, bring that to your performance, but also bring it to set, and that, you guys are the guys in charge. So like, you don't want to make everyone feel so down and out. But those conversations that you are also having with Harrison of like, hey man, this is where I am right now, and I just had to do this thing. Or I'm just so curious as a performer.
It's a great question. The quiet anger, you're the only person that's ever said that. So I think that does exist in Joel for sure. And I think it exists in Raiden too, which is interesting. And I kind of recognize that a little bit in him. And it's this interesting duality because Raiden early on said something to me, which I thought was very profound, which is like he never really challenges his father or gets mad at his father, freaks out at his father because he's worried that, that interaction, every time he sees his dad could be the last time he sees his father, because dad could go home and overdose and, he dies that night. Right. And that kind of thought, I think, permeates in Raiden's head, and it always lives there. So there's always a fear of like stepping too far or saying too much, which I think is very frustrating to some degree. And I've dealt with addiction in my life, and like, the people with addiction kind of let you down. They, it's a perpetual cycle. It's not a clear black and white thing. And that's kind of what we tried to show in this movie, that addiction is like a chain. It just like keeps coming, and the people fuck up over and over. Right. So it's cool that you recognize that. I mean, Harrison and I have been working together, like we make films through our company Vesperia, 10 years, right? And we switch roles, and he acts and I act, and he directs and I direct, and we often write and produce together. So we're very comfortable with each other. I think for me with this character, like something I relied on heavily was music. I've never really done that before, but I listened to a lot of music during this film. And like, I just took the time and the space to separate myself and be, in the headspace I needed to be in when it required it. And then when we could have fun, I had fun. And like, I kind of juggled that a little bit. A lot of trust, of course. Like I know Harrison and he knows me, and he knows when I'm in my kind of space, and he lets me do my thing, and which I really appreciate. And then beyond that, it's like Raiden was there every single day of the filming of this movie. He lived with us at home. Like we all lived, we had a chalet together and lived together for a month before the film, and then stayed together during the film. So on that note, it's like whenever I felt lost as an actor, or I should say as a character, and didn't know what to do at a moment, I could just look across the set and there he is. There's the real guy. And that's why we're making this movie. And I could talk to him about what was going on, or ask him questions, or how he was feeling, or just hold him and hug him in moments, and just remind myself there's an importance to this story. And it's not just a movie. It's his life, and it's the life of many, many people in the world. So I don't know, I felt a big responsibility to tell that story correctly. And so, yeah, it was like nerve-wracking at times, but also extremely rewarding.
Yeah. I'm curious, what were you listening to music wise? What was on that playlist for you?
I have a playlist I made called Acting the Feels. It's just like heart. I think there's hearts on there. I don't know. I could look. Let me check.
Yeah, pull it up. I want to know.
Yeah.
I think I asked him once. I was like, "What are you listening to?" And it was like Bohemian Rhapsody or something. I swear. Like,
no.
That's the feels. Yeah.
It's actually like, it was actually just, here it is, songs that Raiden gave me. So Fade Into You, The Maisie Star was a big one. Keep the Wolves Away, Uncle Lucius, tons of James Blunt. I was like, what music do you listen to? Like, what kind of stuff makes you get in, like, feel emotional essentially, and feel connected to yourself and to the relationship. And he gave me a whole bunch of songs, and I picked the ones that I felt worked. And yeah, just like centered me and reminded me. And then a lot of prep ahead of time. I a lot of work with the various coaches, and I did a lot of Chekhov work with this character, and like changing the relationship with the dad from the beginning to the end, because there's a big arc for the characters. So a lot of actory stuff on the sidelines.
It's fun stuff. That's when you get to do the fun work, the doubling down on your craft, where you're just like learning something in preparation. I think it's just such a cool thing, and part of the process as filmmakers, as storytellers, and having that resource, to the people that are living the thing. And what a gift. Harrison, I'd love to talk about you as a director on this. Kudos. This is such a beautiful film. Your vision on this is just amazing. And I'd love to talk about just the aesthetic of this film, and the rhythm of the film, and the visuals, and just, those conversations that you're having with your key departments, especially your DP, and making each shot feel very specific and particular to each character. And there's one shot that I keep thinking of. It's with Bodo, and it's when he's having a little moment in his trailer, and it just feels like we're on this like wave with him. We're kind of like rocking with him, and you're just kind of in that headspace with him of like, he just wants to be on the water and he's having a moment. But I just love to talk about just how big the movie feels for such an intimate story, and how you got there.
it's a big question because thank you, first of all. I did like a month of prep, just like, I guess from the director's perspective, I want to say, because up until that point, Dakota and I were really writing this thing every day and making rewrites. And that's when we kind of split a little bit and went, okay, Dakota, you're going to do the acting thing. And like, he took some courses and he went and worked with Emmanuel a lot and was doing rehearsals. And I was like shot listing every day and talking to various heads of department about, you know, the style and the vibe and the tone as well. And Peanut Butter Falcon was a big like inspo for us. I mean, that's kind of where I pulled the title from, because we wanted a new title because it was not originally Tight Lettuce. And then I think Juno was like an interesting inspiration. I really wanted it to feel like the movies that I guess like I grew up watching, like just these lovely independent films that talk about family and are funny, but also dramatic. And I think obviously that's in the writing, but also I wanted it to feel like that as much as we could. I remember doing a shot list, which takes so much time for 101 pages or whatever we had. And like, I go talk to the DOP and it's like, you know, this is an indie film. And he's like, we're going to use these lenses in this camera. And it's like, okay, well, I guess that's what we have access to. So that's what we're going to use. And they're like, they're amazing. We have like the RE primes or whatever. And it's just like, it's going to look fantastic. So there's like no real, like, I'm not like sacrificing anything there. And then it's like, and then I was like, well, can we talk about the shot list and whatever? And it's like, no, look, let's just throw that all in the garbage and figure it out on the day. And I was like, okay, well, I have ideas for all these things, but they're now in the back of my head. And like, we're going to use 2 cameras, which was like something we talked about. And so we had like a 2-camera setup almost all the time, just for time. And I mean, Serge is the DOP and producer. He's on it. Like, he can set up a shot so fast and have 2 cameras ready to go. Like, it reminded me of working with like music video directors or something, where it's like they just know how to like set stuff up so fast. It's kind of insane. And I was quite impressed with how fast he could set up stuff. And sometimes I'd be like, oh, this is kind of the vibe we want. He'd like set up a shot before I'm even ready. And he'd be like, check this out. And I was like, oh, that's like that's better than what I had planned. And then the reverse though, where it was like, oh no, I really wanted it to be like this, like, and he'd be like, show me. And then I'd show him, be like, he'd be like, okay, yep, let's do that. And it'd be like, how long? 10 minutes. Okay. Like, it's like kind of crazy. Like that was kind of the vibe on set every day. And then it's like, we just don't have the time because we don't have 30 shoot days. We have 20 and short camera days. So it's like, well, we're going to do 3-4 takes of everything. Of course we had certain moments where we could do more, but like that was kind of, it was just very fast paced. And then also like tonally, I remember having a lot of conversations about wardrobe and production design. Production design, they kind of just like did exactly what I wanted. It was like they were in my head. It was like pretty bizarre. It was awesome. Like it was very, very easy. And then costumes, I had a very specific vision of like Train Spotting was a huge inspo. And I remember, I feel like I read an article somewhere or like saw something about the wardrobe in Train Spotting, and then also like how they picked certain colors for outfits. And I thought that was like really interesting. And I love colorful stuff. Like I didn't want this to be a dark movie. Like I think it would easily fall into the trap of being a very intense, dark, like kind of sad film just because of the topic. And I wanted to do the opposite. I was like, let's make it colorful and fun and like not what you would expect at all. And like I think the contrast is what makes that like kind of interesting and different from other addiction films as well. I remember like talking about Beautiful Boy a lot, and I'm like, our movie's the opposite. So let's just do the opposite of that movie, like in a lot of ways. And yeah, I just remember being like, oh, green represents sobriety. And like, I wanted to like put Joel's character in that because he's like sober, he's not doing drugs and like things like that. Like there was like some intention behind it, and we did it as much as we could. And yeah, that was kind of the process with every department.
Indie film is like a sprint, you know, like, so it's like, it's interesting. We do all this prep like as filmmakers and as actors. And then on the day, often everything goes out the window and you just have to, as every movie does. Right. But it's like indie film, I think it can happen more often just because we're on limited time and money, and you have to get the shots, you have to make it work. And we had that in particular with our big fight sequence, where it gets all like the muddy kind of fight sequence towards the end of the film. Just like torrential downpour that day, and like it ruined everything. Like it ruined all our shots. We had no time to do anything that Harrison had planned. And like Serge, him and I, we were like in the truck at lunch, and then we were off to go see another location to scout something. But like the rain was just pouring and pouring and pouring. And we're like, well, Serge is like, what are we gonna do? Because we can't do whatever we planned after lunch. So, we all have to game plan, and Harrison has to like throw everything out of all the prep he's done goes in the garbage. And then we sat there and we all, remember there was like 8 of us, we're all talking and blah, blah, blah. And we're all trying to figure it out. And we're like, just stop. Just like, everyone just stop for a second. And like, we just stopped and we're like, what are we doing? It became water.
Yeah. We were just like, let's rehearse this for 3 hours. We only have one wardrobe because we didn't expect it to be a mud pit in the pouring rain. So it's like, we don't have doubles of the wardrobe. As soon as they fight and like go to the ground, it's over. Like the take is done. And we don't have the ability to like run and wash the clothes and blow dry them, whatever, like, and their hair and whatever. It's like, once they're wet, and it's like ruined kind of thing. So it's like, let's do this as a oneer. Like, that's the only way this is going to really work. We didn't really have another option. So that kind of just became what it became. And it was very fun though. So what we did was we rehearsed for like several hours, that scene. I think from like noon until like after lunch until like whatever, 3-4 p.m. We just rehearsed, like, because it became one. So we're like, let's just rehearse, put on whatever, have raincoats on, whatever, so that you don't mess up your wardrobe. Then we'll do your makeup and your hair. And then we're going to shoot this in one go. And that's what we did. And we all,
and it was the first week of our it's
like day 3
our schedule, day like 3 or 4 or whatever. And once I remember after we got that shot, like the whole crew piles around the monitor because we all want to see if we got it. We're all watching it, and like it was great. And we got it. Everyone's celebrating, and we're like, oh, what a cool way to like bond. Like it's like a good bonding moment for the whole crew. And we're all like, oh, we're all in this together now. It's like I think we felt the whole crew like mesh in that moment, and it turned out to be a really great way for us all to get on the same page and kickstart the rest of our film.
Yeah.
I just had goosebumps from that story. It is such a cool bonding moment. And for it to happen so early on in the production phase, I mean, because anything can happen, right? Everything goes out the window, like you guys said. That location, by the way, is so great. I'd love to talk about how you found it. Did you guys build it? Was it there? You just lucked out with some guy who was like, yeah, sure.
No, like it was someone's property that had a small like vineyard. We were trying to find a vineyard like winery for a long time. And then this guy he was like partially doing construction on his property and had like a mini version of it. So it was kind of perfect because we're like, oh, we have room for the boat. And then the boat was like such an important piece of the puzzle for the film as well, like and a big thing on an indie budget. And I think Roxanne found like 3 options on like our live producer on like Facebook Marketplace. And I remember her sending me the options and I was like, oh shit, like we're actually going to get the boat exactly how I imagined it. That's really crazy. And there's an insane story with the boat where they went to buy it and then they were like, well, we sold it to this other guy. And they're like, no. Like, perfect. Tell the other guy, like, we'll split it. He can get it in a month and we'll pay for like half of it. We just need it for this month. So the guy got like whoever got that boat after got like in a smoking deal because he got it for half the price he was going to pay because we just paid for it for the month we needed it. He just had to wait like a month. And they didn't have to like deal with, getting rid of the boat off the property after, which was like, I think it was a big ordeal. Yeah. Like to get that boat there, like towing that thing. And it's like, that boat is like,
it's huge. It's a huge boat. Like it's massive.
Yeah. So like it was, I mean, that's the set piece. And then of course, production design was like, did the clotheslines and built like this weird platform to like the toilet on top of like the waste, whatever. It's like, that was just like on the property because the guy was constructing it. So we're like, oh, how funny would it be if the toilet was just like on top of that thing? And like, imagine that it's like going into that, like there's no real plumbing on the property. And it's like, yeah, like that's what we did. It just like was weird. And I love that. And then I remember we wrote like the bird cage in, like I just personally, I think that's the funniest shit ever. Like the bird cage. Cause I'm like, it's just so ridiculous and like awkward. And I don't know. I
thought so out of left field, but it's so perfect for those characters here. Like, oh yeah, she would do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it all came together in that location. Like, bravo to the production design team on that.
And Guy, who is eating the eclairs in the scene with the birdcage.
Yeah, the Long Johns.
Long Johns. We did that scene at like 10 a.m. in the morning. So he ended up eating like 12 of those and just was like so sick from a stomach ache. It's like first thing in the morning, just pounding back like 12 of these Long Johns. I'm like, oh my gosh, poor guy.
I'd love to talk about your casting on this, which is just phenomenal. Everybody, including you as well, Dakota, of course. This could have been a caricature. I'd love to talk about casting for Bodo and, the kind of work, like what he came in with, prepared himself, and then if, what kind of access he had to these real life figures, these people, if any, and just those kind of conversations you were having with him, Harrison, to, where do you take it? How over the top do you go? Or, how subtle do you make this, the sickness basically, and portraying that and how that carries across the camera?
Yeah. I feel like the stars aligned with Emmanuel because he has like such a big comedy background. And I think that lends itself really well to this character because the real guy is like super charismatic, super fun, super funny, such a sweet guy. Like genuinely, he's actually just like a nice guy. But then this addiction that he's dealing with is like kind of destroying him and brings out the worst in him. And it's like really hard to watch. And then it's like, so that's what we talked about with Emmanuel. And also I think that's why it's such a like dream role for an actor in many ways, because you never get to play this type of character. Emmanuel was the guy. His audition tape was fucking bizarre and didn't make sense, but made sense because it was exactly like Bodo, and he hadn't seen any footage of the real guy, but somehow put this tape together that looked like it was a video of Bodo. And we're like, okay, well, that was a bizarre tape that objectively is a terrible audition tape. If it was for any other project, maybe. But for this project, it was like kind of the perfect thing. And we're like, okay, let's just get on a call with him and make sure like he can take directions. And like, I just want to talk to the guy and see like if it's going to be cool and to like work with him for, 2 months on set, like in a very intense role. And yeah, he was super nice. He had this really cool story that he told about the day before, I guess we called him up for this role. He hadn't done any film or TV acting in quite a while, in a few years, but Emmanuel is like very famous in Quebec. He does a lot of stand-up and like stand-up comedy and like theater stuff. And he it's like an award-winning actor from Locarno from a movie he'd done previously, like I think 10 years ago. So he was telling his sister, he's like, oh, I think I want to like get back into like film and TV stuff, but I don't know how. And his sister was like, well, just put it out in the universe. Like, just say it. He's like, yeah, like, okay, I want to do this. Like, I want to do a film. I want to do another role on film and TV or something. And then that's when we like called him the next day. Like, so it's kind of crazy that it manifested in that way. And he's like perfect for this role.
Spot on. Yeah, he's so good. He's so good. And again, it just that other layer of empathy with him. You're just like, you just love him so much and you want the best for him. And you're there with Joel. You're like, how do we help this guy?
I think Emmanuel in real life is like very lovable. He's like ADHD and he's like super fun and just like nice, kind of like the real Bodo. And like, he just had that personality already built in, like it's just him. So that was part of it. And then I know Emmanuel did a lot of work. Like he went and talked to some people that were living on the street and, you know, were using fentanyl. And then he also had an opportunity to FaceTime with the real Bodo and see him and understand him on a more personal level. And I think when he FaceTimed with the real Bodo, they realized they had a lot in common, which was like pretty cool. Obviously not the addiction, and Emmanuel's kind of the opposite in many ways. He like, so on set, the heroin, fentanyl that he's smoking on set is like just sugar, like it's like organic cane sugar or whatever. And when you heat it up like that, it like smokes. Emmanuel like didn't even want to do that on set because he's like does not eat sugar. Like he's like health nut, like hippie, like making his own bread, which is amazing. Like we kept asking him to bring his bread to set and like, but like, that's him. Like, he's like natural. Like he's like building his house right now, which like Bodo builds houses. Like, it's so funny, but it's like, they have a lot in similar. And then he's like the opposite in that sense where he's like super health conscious and like healthy. And I'm like, oh, that's funny that he won't even smoke the sugar on set, which like is a problem for us. We're like, dude, come on. Like, this is the movie. You have to do it. Like, it's real. Like this is a real thing. Like it's just sugar, dude. Like do it for the film. Like I had to like peer pressure this like 50-year-old man into like doing something he didn't want to do.
Eat sugar, but his body is a temple, you know, you gotta respect it. But yeah, that's amazing, especially the crossover there. I'm curious, you know, because you guys just had your premiere at Fantasia Film Festival. Again, congrats on winning the audience award in gold. And did your friend, and I would assume probably not his dad, but like, have they seen the movie?
Raiden came out. Yeah, Raiden came out for the premiere at Fantasia. That was the first time he saw the entire movie. He had seen small clips before that, but first time we wanted him to have like the experience. So he saw it in the theater with a sold out crowd that was reacting every step of the way. And just like, it was kind of phenomenal and very not a little bit surprising. Like I didn't know what to expect. Like we were very nervous going into this, and the reactions have been just absolutely incredible. And for Raiden to be there and experience that was like beautiful. And he came up on stage with us and did the Q&A. And the next step will be, we got to get Bodo to see it. So we're going to set up like a private screening in Vancouver or on Vancouver Island for him. And we're waiting for like a Vancouver premiere as well for Raiden's, like the rest of Raiden's family will come out for that. So
this is your guys' company, like for your company, Vesperia, this is your first feature. You guys are doing, I don't know, you guys are producing probably like 500 films right now, short films and everything else, because you guys don't sleep.
600 actually.
Oh, 600, sorry. But this being your first feature, and this is your feature directorial debut, Harrison, like what was like the biggest learning curve for you? Because I know you got a background in acting and music, and you've done TV and features as an actor, and you've done it all. But as a director, taking this on.
Dakota also has an answer to this, so I'll let him speak as well. But for me personally, I think we shared a lot of lessons in this because we've been kind of growing together for, 10 years making stuff together. But nothing can prepare you, I've realized, for like the feature. Like if you're a filmmaker, like nothing can really prepare you for this type of thing. And every film is different, which we know. And every short film we've done is different. And we learn something on every film that we make. And the feature is no different. It's like there's bigger lessons in there. And I mean, I don't know, I could point to probably 1,000 things. I made a journal entry after I wrapped the film of like, here's all the things I learned. Here's all the things I want to do different going forward. Like the thing that comes to mind is like all these unplanned things, like the boat that we talked about, like those things you can't prepare for and are bound to happen more on a feature because we have 20 days of shooting, which is like on a short film, we do 2 days of shooting. So it's like, well, if we do 10 short films, that's basically the equivalent of doing one feature. So the amount of lessons that you learn in that time frame is just like, yeah, it's insane. It's just a different level of the process, I guess. And like, yeah, I learned a lot about how to direct actors better, learned how to give better notes, learned about certain continuity things on a feature that we probably write differently now. Like we had a lot of locations. The chronology of a feature is so important. That wasn't something we really thought too much about until like pre-production. And then we're like, oh, like, yeah, this is important. Day 1, day 2, like what are their outfits? Okay, now that you have 12 days in the script, you have 12 different outfits for this character. And it's like, okay, all these things take up your brain power, especially on an indie, and maybe are taking away from other parts that I'd rather focus on. So I think that's something we're hyper aware of when we're writing our next thing.
For me, a lot of the lessons came in the writing aspect of it when we look back, because ultimately the writing is the blueprint that you're going to be working off of. And a big kind of problem we had with this film is the first act, and like knowing whose movie we're telling, who's the central character, the perspective we're following. And we did a lot of edits. We did 12, 13 edits before we 11 edits before we found that in the story. So if we like are going to the next project, it's like, well, being very clear about that, especially in the first act, when we first meet these characters, especially if it's a one narrative character, if it's an ensemble, it's a little different. But in the case of our story, if it's a central character that you're telling story through, being very clear whose story that is, and like not messing around in the first act. So then when we get into the filming and then we get into editing, we don't need to rearrange, and we have a clear kind of through line, which we struggled with a lot on this movie. So yeah, I think, and obviously, every film is different and it's never going to be the same, and we're gonna have different issues in the next one. But that was a great lesson to learn in writing for sure. And then also just on the indie scale, like practical lesson, like the car stuff is awful. Like don't write car stuff. So
seriously, my cars. But we love doing shit that's like way too ambitious. We lit up an RV. We had a huge.
But I mean, the RV's fun though. RV is like a fun thing, but like the car stuff is just technically difficult.
Yeah, I don't think Serge would agree about our producer would agree about the RV being fun. He had to tow it and burn it down in a field, but with the SFX team. But no, we learned so much. And also touching on that, it's like truly, like on a feature, like once you get into post-production, you have so much room to edit and make changes, which was like so fascinating, like on a different scale from a short where it's like you only have limited footage, where it's like, we had a 2-hour cut, our first cut, and like we had, we got to delete so many scenes, which changes the structure of the film. And like you find a different movie in the edit, and we reshot some stuff and recorded a different monologue for the first act because that didn't work, because our writing just didn't work and it didn't translate to production, and we didn't fix it there. So we had to fix it in the edit. And it's like, yeah, whoever said that, it's like, I 100% think it's true now after experiencing it, which is like, there's the film you write, the film you shoot, and the film you edit. And it's Absolutely. Like on a feature, you can see that even more. So it's like more clear, because the amount of change that you can make on a feature because you have the extra footage and time is like just, it's very different from a short. Like we were able to do things with like Taylor in the film, who plays Joel's girlfriend. The first couple times that we like were getting notes, people were like, oh, this character, like, we don't really understand her. We don't really relate to her. Who is she? Why is she even here? And it's like, whoa, really? Like, why is she here? Like, okay, well, let's try to fix it in that. And it was such a simple thing of like giving her a little bit more screen time and like letting her reactions like just, 1 beat longer in every scene. Like, let's just have her react a little beat longer. It's like those minor changes across an hour and a half made such a big difference. And we have the time to be able to do that. Whereas on a short film, you don't. So it's like, that was so interesting. And then also like Bodo wasn't likable in the first 4 edits. Like we did 13 edits as well, like probably similar to writing. Like we did 13, passes of the film, and like the first few were really struggling with like Bodo's kind of annoying in the first part of the film, like, and that's not what we wanted to be. So how do we fix it? And it's like, well,
finding silence for him, finding like quiet moments for him where he can just live and not always talk and do stuff. Right? It's really fascinating, and acting love it too. It's like give more options.
Yeah. If you're an actor listening, give more options.
Give more options, right? Like always have an option, because it just saves you in the edit.
Not that we didn't have that with Bodo, actually. He never did the same thing twice, funny enough. Like, it was fascinating to learn that in the post-production.
Dozens of little, in many ways, dozens of lessons in writing and acting and directing and so many things.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, guys, congrats. Thanks for sharing this movie. Thanks for making the movie. It is so beautiful. And I can't wait till it comes to the
Call your local theater and request it.
Yeah, we got to get it out here. We need people to see it. It deserves to be seen on a big screen. I'm so glad we found time to do this. And it's so nice to see both of you.
Sadie, thank you. Like, it's been a pleasure as always.
Reckless Creatives is a Pipeline Artist original podcast. Like, subscribe, and follow us on social media at Pipeline Artists. And find more info at pipelineartists.com/listen. Until next time, stay reckless.